Hey, everybody, and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, author Vivian E. Moore, and I thank you very much for tuning in today, listening to the show. I hope everybody is having a great weekend. It is absolutely beautiful outside. This is the type of weekend that is made for getting outside of the house, going to the park, going for a hike, going on a picnic, anything and everything outdoors. This is the day for that. And I hope that you have taken advantage of this wonderful day. It's a day that wasn't promised, so it is definitely a day to get out with the family and just have a great time. But if you happen to have your app and you're listening to the Spreaker app right about now, that means that you're listening to my show, which is live every Saturday at 6 p.m. And again, I thank you for joining in and listening to the show. And so I want to give you a few URLs to help you listen to the show if you don't listen to it live, but to listen to it other ways, and to also follow me just to see what I'm doing on a weekly basis. So, of course, the first one is to my Spreaker account. And that one is https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian E. Moore. You can also follow me, like me, on Facebook. And that one is https://www.facebook.com/author Vivian E. Moore. You can also follow me on Twitter, and my Twitter handle is God's Property 46. You can also follow me and like me on Instagram, and this is usually where I update each Saturday. Usually I try to do it in the AM to let the listeners know what the show is going to be about. So I usually give the title of the show and the topic. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, that is https://Instagram.com/God's Property 51. You can also check out my website, and I will be updating that soon. It is https://vivianmoore.wixsite. That's wixsite.com/author Vivian Moore. You can also check out my blog, and that is at vivianemore.blogsite.com. And if you want to listen to the pre-recorded show, you can check that one out on iTunes, and you can also check it out on iHeartRadio. And both of those URLs are on the Instagram account. If you go to the Instagram, usually when I give the information about the show, the weekly show, all of those URLs are listed at the bottom of that page. All right, so now that we've gotten all of those things out of the way, let's move on to today's show. The title of today's show is Look Before You Leap, and the topic is Prepared Awareness for Your Next Project. How easy is it for all of us, to stay organized and focused? Not very, right? Yeah, I know. And the reason for this is, we often dive right into a project without researching everything involved first. That's why it is so important to look before you leap and to be prepared before you begin a project. The simple solution for this problem is being prepared. And it is. That's everything. We prepare. Most of us, we just try not to fly by the seat of our pants. We try to adhere to a schedule. We try to write everything out. At least the most organized people, this is what they do. Because they want to know what's coming next on that list. So it is so good. It's such a good thing to be prepared. And because, you want to know how much time you have for this, what's next, what's coming up. It's a way for you to stay on task and to stay on top of your daily activities. And so I want to tell you about a few ways to be prepared. So first, if you are a writer like me, you should set aside some time to plan your life around your project. And I literally mean this because when you're writing, it is something that will totally involve you, time wise, life wise. Everything revolves around my writing, and because I do take it very seriously, and I only get a couple of days, a couple of hours each day to actually sit down and write, but I make the most of those 2 hours. And believe me, it will become involved and it will take a huge chunk of your life, but don't be discouraged, right off the bat. Anything you love doing is worth putting your all into and sacrificing time for. Planning ahead is a great strategy, specifically if writing isn't your only occupation. I like writing in the evenings. Although whenever creativity strikes, I go with the flow. But, it's wise to schedule your writing time at a period of the day that is better for you productive wise. I have been sitting at work because I do work a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So that's my first job. My second job, of course, is writing. But, sometimes when I'm sitting at work, and it's crazy how my brain operates, but I can be totally involved in what I'm doing at work, paying attention to my job, what I'm doing, but then thoughts and ideas they float through my head constantly. So I'll stop what I'm doing right then and right there, and I write it down. And that's important because you don't want to lose any of your thoughts by just saying well, I'll do that later. You don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that. Whenever something pops into your head, especially if you're working on a project, it is best to write it down because you will forget. And usually if you remember, it would never be the way that it came to you the first time. So I always try to jot down any thoughts that come into my mind, especially if it's dealing with a book that I'm working on, at that moment. I try to capture every scene, every creative idea that is flowing through my mind. I always try to jot that down because I want it, in its purest form. Because when it comes to you, those moments are magical. So you need to take advantage of them. So, now that we've covered the best time to write, let's talk about a few other things that are equally important, such as budget and turnaround time. I don't know why that's such a tongue twister for me, but this only applies to self-published authors. So I'm talking to you right now. Most of us don't have unlimited amounts of cash or time to simply spare, no expense. It would be nice, but that generally that's not the case. Therefore, you should research the best of all publishers who will give you more bang for your buck. Time and cost does matter. And you want only experienced publishing companies who have more than two artists and a few works to brag about. Listen, you've worked hard to bring your dreams to reality. Spending the extra time to find a company who will give you the Cadillac of items to choose from, let me tell you, that is what you want. You don't want any company that you can't research, or any company to where they say that they've published all these authors, but then you don't see anything, any work, any books on their website to prove this. So, you have to be wise about how you spend your money if you are a self-published author. And, and I know that sometimes the expenditures can get way up there, but here's the thing. If you are seriously pursuing your dreams to become, a best-selling author one day, then you have to invest in yourself. That's important. It may be costly on the front end, but think about it. If you have covered every single base, if you have made sure that this book, looks as though it was published by a major publisher, you've had it edited, you've had everything set up the way it should be, to where it looks professional. And that's what you want. You want professionals when it comes to your work. if you are a contracted artist, and then this, I'm talking about major publisher or secondary publishers, but this tip doesn't apply to you. However, you still need to be prepared when it comes to the other things on the agenda, such as deadlines, because that applies across the board to self-published authors and authors who are under contract. And you need to make sure that you read the specifics of your contract as well. Be aware of your and the publisher's expectations. In general, you, more so than the self-published artist, should pay close attention to the fine lines of your contract. Read every detail and please ask questions. If there's something you are unclear about or just don't understand, it is your responsibility to ask, because this will save mishaps and misunderstandings in the end. And for every writer, know your limitations and never write when you're tired or not in the mood. Don't simply write because you feel as though you're not being productive enough. Only write when inspired. This is usually when some of your best material comes forth. I have been working on a project, and I just recently finished one, and it's getting ready to go through the editing process. I mean, I've done my part. Now it's getting ready to go through the professional editing process, and there were times that I would sit at the computer and I would write, and I was inspired when I started, but then I got distracted, or I got tired, I got sleepy. Everything started happening. And so I would push myself to say, okay, at least I need to finish a chapter, and that's not always possible to get a chapter when you sit down to write. And like I said, I only get a couple of hours a day to do it. And I don't generally write on Sundays, and I don't write on Wednesdays. But those other days, those other times I'm writing. But when I feel the creative spirit leave me, that's when I stop. I learned the hard way, because if you sit and you push yourself to write when your mind is not in that productive stage, then all you're going to write is junk. And it may look like the best thing ever, when you're looking at it while you're writing it, but the next time you look at it again, you'll see that it was just absolute crap. So there you have to go and delete all of that and start over again. So don't do that. If you're tired, don't write. If the creative flow is not going, don't write. Only do it when you're at your best, because that is when the best things come out of you, when you are at your best. And in closing, being prepared is part of the journey, and it is essential to every project you will undertake during your next writing experience. All right, so I hope that something that I've said today has inspired you to start your next writing project, but you definitely want to look before you leap. You want to do your research. You want to do everything possible to make sure that your project is absolutely perfect. And I know perfection is, it's not realistic, but get it as close to perfect as you can, because like I said, what you do it's a testament to who you are as a writer, and that is what you will be judged by the readers. If you put out crap, or if your work is not up to par, then that can just kill you. That will kill you. It will end your writing career. So if you're serious about what you do, then you want to make it your best. You want to write your best, and you want to be prepared. You want to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. Because this is only going to help you out on the front end, and then on the back end of it, when the book is actually out in production, it's actually out on the shelves and and available online. And when the readers start reading your book, they start reading your work, they can see the time and effort you put into it, and because you were prepared, it shows in what you do. So trust me, this is important. And it just came to me during my own process of trying to get the second half of my book out, If Tomorrow Comes, Genesis, trying to get that out, because I've just had an outpouring of readers who they keep asking me, when is this book coming out? Because they love the first one. And that makes me feel so good to know that all the time that I invested in this project has come to fruition. And, and it takes more than good writing to make a project whole, to make it perfect. You gotta not only spend the time, writing a good story, but you also got to put all of the other details, to it. All those other fine details are part of that story that you're trying to produce for your readers. So spend the extra time, and don't ever feel rushed by anyone or anything. I could have rushed myself because I know that they wanted, the second half of this book. They were anticipating it, and they couldn't wait for it. But some things are worth waiting for. And, and don't rush, because haste makes waste. So, take your time to make sure that project is the best that it can be before you let it go. I always said that, my books are like my children. They're like my babies. I would never send one of my children out before they were ready. What would I look like sending, a 12-year-old out into the world alone, to fend for themselves? Well, that's how I feel about my projects, about my books. I feel about them the same way I feel about my children. I want to make sure that they have everything that they need before I send them out into the world, to be gobbled up. But so, as long as you keep that attitude about what you do, I think you'll be okay. Don't rush, and make sure that you are prepared before you leap. All right, so tomorrow is a very special day. It's Mother's Day. And to all the mothers out there, I want to wish you happy Mother's Day. My mother is passed, but I still think about her, not just on Mother's Day, but every single day I think about her. And I know that a lot of people are feeling that loss as well. But the thing of it is that she's still alive inside your heart, and if you are a mother, then, and if you have children, then that is a way to sort of compensate for that loss. But I do wish each and every mother happy Mother's Day. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope that this will be the best day, for you, that you will maybe not looking for anything, but it's a special time. It's a special day. Put your feet up. You shouldn't be in the kitchen cooking on Mother's Day. A meal should be prepared for you, or at least taken out to dinner. And so that's what our plans are, is to go out and celebrate Mother's Day. My daughter and my sister and my nieces. So I'm looking forward to that time when we can get together and just enjoy our day as mothers. And again, I just want to wish every mother happy Mother's Day. And I hope you plan on going to church tomorrow to celebrate Mother's Day. Take a family member, take a friend, take some children. At our church tomorrow, we're going to have dedication of babies for Mother's Day. And I'm like, that is the perfect time for that. Usually, a lot of churches do it at Easter, but Mother's Day is the perfect time for that, to have those babies dedicated. And tell somebody that you love them, because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only chance you get to say that. So I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.